This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service, broadcasting from the KFAB studio in Dundee. My co-host, Trenton Magid, has the weekend off, but never fear, we are going to move forward in his stead. We have a familiar voice. Jorge Sotolongo is with us, frequent Grow Omaha contributor and commercial real estate broker at NAI NP Dodge. Good morning, Jorge. Welcome back.
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good. It's always good to have you back. And before we go any further, though, I do want to remind people that the show is brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. If you love Grow Omaha and talking about this stuff as much as we do, next time you see anyone from Dingman's or Cheer Athletics, tell them thank you for making Grow Omaha possible. Jorge, we have a restaurant review this week. Every other week, Sarah Baker Hansen, Omaha's premier food critic, writes our Grow Omaha Eats column. And this week, she went to Everett's. And right now, Sarah is in her annual March Madness food bracket. This year, she is doing wings, chicken wings, hot wings, buffalo wings, whatever it is that you want to call them. And in that spirit, that's one of the reasons why she reviewed Everett's. They're famous for their wings. You and I can attest, because I will say, love Everett's, but the only time I was there was with you for lunch.
I know. It was the only time I went in person, but after I read this, I was craving wings that I went and got some. So we got some last night.
From Everett's?
Yes.
That was, were they pretty darn good?
They were delicious. I really think they're some of the best. Is this the first stop on this?
Well, yeah, because she's going to have another one in 2 weeks. I think she's doing another wing place, and then I think she's going to do a couple mini reviews in between her Grow Omaha reviews.
She's starting on a high, I'll tell you.
It's tough to beat. It's tough to beat them. But 88th and Maple, if you want to give Everett's a try. If you want to read that review or any of Sarah's Grow Omaha Eats reviews over the last few years, just go to growomaha.com, click on EATS Eats in the navigation bar, and you will see those restaurant reviews. We've got our news of the week coming up. It is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. They know mortgages, have known mortgages for well over 30 years. FHA, VA, conventional, some specialty loans. They do that. They do a great job of it. Now that it's March, spring is essentially here in a few days, although it's felt like spring for the last 6 weeks. You're probably thinking, okay, maybe I'm going to get a house. This is the time of year where people start to get that new house fever. And some people have said, I don't want to buy houses because the interest rates are higher. I don't want to get a house because there's a lack of inventory. Work with Eagle Mortgage. The interest rates are not as bad as you may have been led to believe. Sometimes we build these things up in our head worse than they are historically. They're still very, very low, and Eagle Mortgage will take good care of you. 114th and Davenport, or online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. I've got a couple quick news items, and then we have a surprise for everyone as part of the news. But first of all, the U.S. Census Bureau has released population data just this week for metro areas, indicating the growth between summer of 2022 and the summer of 2023. Omaha's growth rate was 0.78% estimated, which is pretty good. It's actually grew faster than Lincoln. Usually smaller markets tend to grow a little faster, but Lincoln did great. Omaha grew at 0.78. Lincoln did 0.68%. Kansas City Metro grew at 0.57. So the total population in the Omaha Metro is now estimated as of last summer to be just under 984,000 people. But Jorge, the Omaha combined statistical area, which includes Fremont, as defined by the U.S. Census Bureau, 1,021,000 and some change. So we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're going to hit that official MSA of over 1 million probably in about 2 years, because kind of got a feeling that the growth rate is going to accelerate from this year over the next 2 years. Hey, real fast, the Omaha Airport Authority received or is receiving a $7 million grant thanks to the work of Senator Deb Fischer and Congressman Don Bacon. This will be essentially a drop in the bucket of the $950 million terminal modernization plan, but every little bit helps. First of all, it's kind of funny to think of $7 million as a little, but it's going towards the International Arrivals Hall, which has got a lot of us very excited because it looks like there's a pretty good possibility that in 2028, 2029, somewhere around there, we might actually have our first scheduled nonstop international flight to and from Eppley.
Grow Omaha Spring Break Edition.
Well, Jorge, we're going to take a little diversion in the news, and I don't think we normally do this, but for this next news story, we're going to talk about the Duo, which is a really cool project in downtown, and we're going to have a celebrity guest newscaster come on the show right now and help us dissect this Duo report. Jorge, would you like to introduce our celebrity guest newscaster?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present live in studio the legendary Mayor Gene Stothert.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. Legendary, I'm not sure, but thank you. It's good to be here bright and early on Saturday morning.
Well, we always love having you on the show, and believe me, we've got a list of questions to ask you, but we wanted you to come on as part of the news because this week you hosted a press conference along with Todd and Mary Heastan of New Style Development talking about the Duo,
Yes.
which is going to completely change the Central Park Plaza Twin Towers downtown.
Absolutely. What an exciting announcement, too. You know, this is something we've been working on for quite a while. But Central Park Plaza, if people don't recognize the name, we call it the Twin Towers downtown, too. I always liked it because it looks so great at night when it's lit up. But, you know, it's office space now. City Ventures did own it, but Todd Heasted recently, I think the contract was just finalized a week or so ago. He bought the structure. And, you know, things have really changed. When it was originally with City Ventures, it was going to be office space like it is now. Things have changed, you know, especially in an urban core with office space. And not with the Mutual Tower, that's for sure. But they decided to make it into apartments. And it'll be over 700 apartments right in the core of downtown. And if people aren't familiar with New Style, Todd and Mary Heasted, they are known for taking structures that were meant for something else and rehabilitating them, redeveloping them. You know, they did it with the Breakers, which is the old OPPD power plant, the bank, which is the old Wells Fargo building. The Atlas, over 700 apartments. That's the old Creighton Hospital. If he could make 700 apartments out of the old Creighton Hospital, Todd could do just about anything. And so we're really excited about this. Like I said, there'll be over 700 apartments total. The city will build and operate a garage that will be behind where the structure is. And on top of that garage will be some additional apartments, over 100 apartments there. But the project is valued at $163 million. And because it is on the streetcar line, and Todd made it very, very clear yesterday that he would not be doing this without the streetcar running by it because it's much more efficient for him. He has to build less parking. But because it's on the streetcar line, the agreement is the first 15 years, 25% of his TIF will go to the streetcar. TIF loans are 20-year loans. And then the last 5 years, 100% of that TIF will go to the streetcar. So that's exactly what we knew would happen and what we had planned to happen with the streetcar. And here's some other news that I think is really interesting, that when we had the funding model for the streetcar really scrubbed by this company out of Baltimore, it was called Municap, they estimated that we would get $2 billion worth of new development on the streetcar line in 15 years. At the end of this year, we are already at $1.2 billion. Already this year, and it's not even built yet. So we are absolutely seeing what we predicted would happen with that increased development along the streetcar line, and then that development pays for the streetcar.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned that because I can remember, Mayor, when that first $2 billion number was floated out there. My first thought was, we're going to destroy that.
Yes.
Because the starting attributes along that line for a city our size are remarkably good for a streetcar. And knowing just how much Omaha is committed to growth and development and what we've got in the pipeline, yeah, sky's the limit for that route.
You know, Todd Heasted, he even said during our press conference that he owns the surface parking lot on Farnham, which is just west of 19th Street. So Wells Fargo uses it now. Mm-hmm. And he's been holding on to that surface lot for many years, saying that he will build maybe a 4-story apartment building along there without streetcar because he has to build so much parking. But now that the streetcar is coming, he is going to build maybe 8 stories or 10 stories of apartments because the advantage of the streetcar along that line. And so that's just another example of what is happening and what we know is happening. So the streetcar is going to move forward, and we know that it will be able to be funded. Now, if we're going to move to the streetcar sometime soon on this show, I'll be happy to talk about where we're at with that.
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a topic of a lot of conversation around here. Going back to the duo, you mentioned the parking garage on the west side.
Yes.
That would require the demolition of what some people remember as the old Park Fair Mall.
Yes.
For you youngsters, that was actually a functional, regular suburban-style mall in the middle of downtown for a while. It's been indoor parking lately. But so the demolition of that and the rendering that New Style released, if you kind of look around the south side of the South Twin Tower, you can kind of see it. And with that parking garage and the apartment levels above it, it looks like a 10-story building to me. That will change the face of 16th Street there.
It definitely will, and we have plans for 16th Street too. That's something that we've been working on for some time. But the important thing is we don't know how many stalls that are going to be in that garage quite yet, because once again, parking is important to us downtown, and we want to make sure we have enough, but not too much. And we own the garage across the street from there too. So we've got to determine how much that garage across the street would be used by the tenants in that building and then already used, and then we'll determine what the size of that new parking garage will be. Probably 300 to 500 stalls in there, somewhere around there. But the city does build garages for developments a lot, and we build them because they cash flow for us, and we pay for it with the revenue they produce. We buy them or pay for them with revenue bonds. The one thing about garages is the cost of garages has gone up so much. It is unbelievable. When I was first mayor, cost of a garage was about $24,000 a stall. That's what we just estimated, and now it's over $40,000 a stall, and that's pretty average.
That's right.
I mean, that's construction cost and material costs. So garages are a lot more expensive than they used to be, but we build them when we know we can cash flow them, and they pay for themselves.
Well, that voice you're hearing is Mayor Jean Stothert, and we didn't bring her in just to be the celebrity newscaster for that story. We're going to have her stay for the whole show. And so we have a lot of things we're going to talk about with the mayor when we come back from our first break of the hour. But that officially ends the news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. And we're going to go into a broader discussion after this. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Jorge Sotolongo substituting for Trenton Magid on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
The free iHeartRadio app has
So I can hear you cringing over there when we're talking about the streetcar.
I love the streetcar.
Do not. I know you don't.
I've always said, I hope the streetcar is a tremendous success. That doesn't mean I don't have questions.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've always said that.
I heard you talking about going downtown, trying to find a parking spot.
Scott's getting
I
tattooed
can't find
into
a
the wall.
parking spot. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I'm listening.
Wasn't that Jim that was doing all that?
Anderson Convenience Market
Rosie?
Seat Metro
Yeah.
area location.
You were texting me about something Jim was
Quality
Yeah,
and
I
blame
fuel
Jim.
are back. Look for the Amico
No, I'm just
logo
glad
at
Sullivan
Anderson
Steakhouse is
Convenience
staying
Market.
there.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
generations, Amico
You know,
was one of the most
they want to.
iconic fuel brands.
We should have mentioned that, but that almost surprised me a little bit. That they were going to stay, because that'll be tough for them
Yeah.
for a couple of years of construction.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're going to stick it
Yeah,
out.
and the Starbucks is not there, but they're working on getting another coffee shop, and they will. And they want some retail around that area.
It gives good opportunity.
It's a great plan. I like how they did the connector in between.
Me too. In glass.
Yeah. So that if somebody here wants to see somebody over here, you don't have to go down or and back up again. So it makes a lot of sense. But
I think it's a gorgeous
everything
project.
he does, he's quite amazing.
First rate.
I think this is one of the smartest projects in downtown.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the rents, they're competitive. And it's just like the perfect opportunity. You needed somebody smart and crafty like Todd.
And
to
he
get it
said
done.
over 50% of those are either affordable or workforce.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at it's interesting, if you look at my Facebook, we put the post up about it, there's probably 250 comments, and they're fighting with each other, which they usually do. But they're fighting about, those aren't affordable.
Yeah.
You know, those are not affordable. If you ask somebody what is affordable, they'll say cheap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I want something real cheap that I can afford. But $900 a month for an apartment downtown is inexpensive.
That is essentially new construction.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's doing it. He could charge a lot more. He really
yeah.
could.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's doing it because he thinks that there's a need for this.
Yeah. And we did mention this in the press conference. His apartments that he's done already are 99% occupancy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his price is right. People, as soon as he builds them, they move in.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
If you keep him, that's how you make it sustainable. You know.
I can't imagine just walking into a place like Creighton Hospital
And thinking that.
and think,
And being able to
I'm
see
going to
it.
make
Yeah.
apartments.
Yeah.
And then the
730
walkway,
apartments.
you know,
Uh-huh.
the bridge.
Oh, the bridge over the
that's
interstate.
just, I mean,
So
that
I was-
stuff gets people excited, you
Oh,
know.
totally. I was speaking at a real estate conference in Texas last month, and they were talking about the problem with downtown office occupancy all over the country. And one of these persons is very respectful. Like, okay, stop talking about this fantasy of converting these office buildings into residential. It's not feasible. It's just not going to happen. And
Yeah.
fewer than 10% of the buildings. And I was thinking to myself, we've got this guy in Omaha that turned a hospital into
Yeah.
one and
Yeah.
a power plant into one.
Yeah.
I think it can be done.
And a bank and the old Bell Telephone
Yeah.
building and all these other things that he does. But he's pretty successful.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
We're good. Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to the show. Jeff Beal sitting here next to Jorge Sotolongo from NAI NP Dodge. He's substituting for Trenton Magid, who is taking the weekend off. The show's brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center for metro area locations and Cheer Athletics, located near Highway 50 and 370 in Papillion. We have Mayor Gene Stothert with us for the hour, talking to us about some growth and development in the Omaha area. And we like to have the mayor on a couple times a year. And so, Gene, we were talking about the big project that was just announced this week, the Duo, which is the renovation of the Twin Towers, turned it into 700 apartments. But downtown's momentum right now is pretty impressive. I looked up, and it's actually been quite a while since we had it in the show, because last time you were here, Heartland of America Park had not opened yet, Kiewit Luminarium had not opened, and Lewis and Clark Landing. So talk to us a little bit about how you see downtown changing now that we've had all these blockbuster attractions open, and how we can go from there now that we have these assets.
You know, it's the growth downtown, and what you see now and what is open is really unprecedented. You know, when I was at the groundbreaking for the airport new terminal, I did say, you know, I moved here 30 years ago. And 30 years ago, when I moved here, there wasn't a Bob Carey Bridge, there wasn't an arena convention center, there wasn't a luminarium, there wasn't a steel house, there wasn't a ballpark. You go on and on and on about just the last 20 years or so, and it's really unprecedented. And we're not done yet. You know, there's so much more in the pipeline. It was just announced recently. We're going to do an expansion on the Arena Convention Center. The site where the Civic Auditorium was. We have a plan there. White Lotus is developing that. It's a great plan. I love how they redesigned it. And the Baby Bob is under construction. That will connect the Bob Carey Bridge to the ballpark. You're going to be able to walk from Iowa to the ballpark now. There's just a lot of things underway. And so the momentum right now is just unprecedented. The parks, for example, there's been estimated over 2 million people that have visited those parks downtown. And I remember when we first started raising them to street level, where the Jean Leahy Mall was, people were complaining, saying, don't ruin the parks downtown. And now I'll tell you, August 18th last year is when all the parks opened up, the other Heartland America Park and Lewis and Clark Landing. And just in one weekend, there was over 100,000 people. I drive by those parks when it's freezing outside and there's people there. The ice skating rink was tremendously successful. People were there all the time. So there's just more and more happening to bring people downtown, and there's more in the pipeline.
Well, the proof is right there in that park. You see everybody from every part of town coming together. And that really is, I think, the first spark that's really going to set the precedent for the rest of the development downtown. Jeff, I know you went down recently and just couldn't believe the amount of people.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago tomorrow, my daughter and I went. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We went down just to take a walk around the park. And all three parks were absolutely alive. They were active and full. And then what was interesting, Mayor, is that it spilled over into the old market. So we walked around the old market, did a little bit of window shopping, got a coffee, whatever. That's about the busiest I've seen the old market on a non-Friday or Saturday night in a long time. And my high school daughter said to me, she said, it kind of feels like a big city down here.
It does. And you can walk. I've walked it, the whole thing, from Heartland America Park all the way to the Luminarium. It doesn't take long. But the detail that is put in that park, and what I really enjoy seeing too, there's a lot of tables and chairs and hammocks and all these types of amenities in there. And nobody has done anything to steal them, to graffiti anything. People are so proud of it. They're taking care of it. And I love that. And it's safe, too. People feel safe. The lighting down there, on the pier, everything. It's really beautiful. And I'm glad people are enjoying it the way they are. But when you stop and think about it, with that Luminarium there now and the big playground by the Luminarium, there's just so much for everyone to do. My grandsons go down there a lot. My 6-year-old grandson, Raymond, told a group of kids the other day, my grandma built this. I had to say, keep it up, Raymond. Keep saying something like that. But,
Had your hammer?
Yeah, I know. But people of all ages seem to love it. And so it's a great attraction, and what is being built up around it is just phenomenal, too. And like I said, but there's more. There's more coming.
Well, speaking of more coming, first of all, let me say this. Very few things are as intriguing to Grow Omaha listeners as skyscrapers. And so we've got this Mutual of Omaha tower under construction. It'll be the tallest building in a multi-state region. Everyone's super excited about it. I know as a construction nerd, I go and look at it every week and walk around. But once you get one new skyscraper, people start thinking, "Well, what? How about some more? How about some more?" And that leads me to a question I've been wanting to ask you. The empty square block that at 14th and Dodge, where the old Union Pacific headquarters sat for many years, was demolished quite a while ago. That's now owned by the city after the swap with the library land.
Correct.
What's the latest on that? Is the city going to issue RFPs, or has there been any sort of developer that's expressed interest in that site?
There has been developers that have expressed interest, but right now I kind of wanted to hold on to the RFP because we want the right plan there. We don't want I don't want is something 2 or 3 stories. I would like something tall. I'd love another a tall building, at least 15, 20 stories there. And so we want the right development there. So right now we have put a lot of thought into what could be there, what we want it to look like, but I don't have an RFP for that yet. We're kind of hanging on to it because another thing is we may be using that site for a laydown for the streetcar.
Oh,
so we
okay,
have
for
to have
staging.
we have to have a laydown site for the streetcar, like the block that is just east of Mutual is part of the park, but it's being used as a laydown now, and then it would become part of the park. And by the way, Mutual does have first right of refusal on that property just east of the Mutual Tower in case they want to build more there. And so we have to think about all of that. And so that's why I'm holding on to that now. But we want the right thing in that old UP site.
And what does the right thing look like? Is it a residential component? Is it office? Is it speak to what type of uses you'd like to see there?
I think it could be mixed use. Originally, we were looking at it as being more office and retail. But I think it could be a mixed-use development right there, too. I've had some interest, say, from some that develop just apartments, and we're talking about maybe putting a 2 or 3-story apartment building there. But that's not really what we want. We want something much bigger that is a good fit for that. So otherwise, we're just going to hold on to that for a little while because, again, we may use that as a laydown site for the streetcar.
So, Mayor, when we have you on the show, it kind of reminds me of when we have leaders from the Greater Omaha Chamber on, insofar as we know you know a lot of things that are on the drawing board, and we would love to know some of that. But we also know you have to keep secrets. At the press conference this week, when you were talking about the duo and all that, you made a comment about many more exciting developments could be coming in the next few months. Could you put a little more detail to that tease without divulging something you're not allowed to say?
Well, there's some things I'm not allowed to say, but there are, because you're working with developers and you're negotiating, developments. And again, I got such a great team now with our planning department, our law department, to get the right thing that fits in that area down there. But I will say, one of the things we could talk about that isn't quite settled yet is the expansion of the Arena Convention Center. That's coming, and nothing has been 100% settled yet. But we know that if we expand the meeting space in that Arena Convention Center, and we own it, we could get a whole new level of conventions, and we're losing out on a lot. We have 16 meeting rooms in that Arena Convention Center, and if you look at the 20 cities that are the largest cities that are competitors, we have the least amount of meeting rooms of all of them. And so, you look at Des Moines, they have 37, Grand Rapids 26, Oklahoma City has 27, we have 16. So the plan is to more than double that, add about 24 more. The plan, like I said, hasn't been 100% settled because it's what we're working on is how it's going to be paid for. That's a city-owned building. It will be paid off in 2027. The debt we pay on that now is almost $20 million a year. So that frees up a lot of bonding authority once that is paid off. But it'll be a combination of, like it was when it was first built, of the city of Omaha plus private philanthropy.
That's
Perfect.
a very exciting project because, when we built the CHI Health Center, the focus was on size, ballrooms and trade show floors, and now meetings have changed and breakout rooms are becoming more and more important. Well, we have a lot more to talk about with Mayor Stothert. We got to take our middle of the hour break for the news, but when we come back, we'll talk to the mayor about a few other things like streetcars and crossroads development and who knows what else. And so stay with us. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Jorge Sotolongo, substituting for Trenton this week. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Off to a good start.
I could say that when we do expand the Arena Convention Center, we will have to have another hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And connect it
Where's the expansion? Which direction and how is this?
over the loading docks in the back.
Okay,
to the east.
to the east.
Yeah.
Kind of northeast side.
Right, and then I could mention, because we will build a new hotel, which would probably be on Lot B, we will be building a garage on Lot D. And we are looking into further developing Lot D. So
Which one's D?
So D is to the north.
Yeah.
Just directly to the north.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. Lot B is the big one
The big
across
one.
the street.
In the middle of
The
everything.
surface lot.
And hotel would be there.
And undoubtedly that would be the
And that
best
could
place.
maybe spark more development on B
Yeah.
eventually.
Because
that's what
remember,
we've always talked
there's
about.
a plan that Ken Stenson led a couple years ago of what a development of all of Lot D would look like. But the city would have to, in our agreement with Mecca, we would have to replace all the parking. So we would replace it with a garage.
Okay,
on
that
Lot
makes sense.
D.
On Lot D, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I get confused on those. I just remember Lot B as being big.
B is big, that's right.
But actually Lot D is bigger.
Yeah, because it goes all the way to the...
It's huge.
So if the hotel goes on B, it would most likely be on that southeast corner,
Right across.
really close to the Hilton, right? So it's right across the street.
It could be. And then there would probably need to be another sky bridge that would go over to the Arena Convention Center.
How cool would
But
that be?
we don't want to build or own it.
Yeah.
We got out of that hotel business when I became mayor because I thought we don't need to be owning a hotel. So we'll get somebody else to build it.
Oh, you'll find somebody.
Because now the facility's proven.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't proven,
Yeah.
and now we don't have to do that.
And it would be we would want something really nice, like a full
Absolutely.
service, like a Omni or something like that.
Inside for every day's Rose. Did you know, but it's right there on the podcast page under Jim Rose at KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Jorge Sotolonga with you. Trenton has got the weekend off. We're brought to you by Cheer Athletics, along with Dingman's Collision Center for metro area locations. And it is time for our Noddle Companies Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week. You know Noddle Companies. They are the firm that does so many of the great projects in Omaha. We don't care whether you're talking about headquarters buildings like Valmont and HDR and so many others, or if you're talking about places that people go, like the Builders District downtown, River's Edge in Council Bluffs, Steel Ridge in the Papillion Gretna area, and of course, Exarban Village. So many people, when they think of Noddle Companies, they think of Exarban Village because it's one of the coolest places in the Midwest. And that's where we've got a little news update for you today. If we zero into Exarban Village and then zero in further into the Interrail Food Hall, we've got a new pizza place coming. The former Pops, P-O-P-S, Pops went out of business, and so a new pizza place is coming, and we don't yet know the name. Well, actually, I know the name, but I was sworn to secrecy. I'm kind of like the mayor. I know things that I can't talk about. But there's a new pizza place coming. We should know the name of it in a few weeks, but that'll be a nice addition to Interrail Food Hall. And like we mentioned last week, that I don't know if I can pronounce it. I never took French. It's either Le Macaron, Le Macaron. They have those French little cookie things there, and it's supposed to be really good, and it's the first Nebraska location. That's getting closer and closer as well. If you want to learn more about Noddle Companies, it's easy. Go to their Facebook page or noddlecompanies.com. We have the mayor of Omaha with us, Gene Stothert. And Gene, right before the break, we're talking about this expansion of CHI Health Center Omaha, more meeting spaces. Well, that could lead maybe to even a third anchor convention hotel.
It definitely would. I mean, it would be needed. Obviously, we've talked about that a lot. If you recall, the city owned the Hilton. When I became mayor, I just felt like the city of Omaha did not need to be in the hotel business, so we sold the Hilton. So it's owned and operated by someone else now. But we definitely will, if we have more conventions and bigger conventions, we will need another full-service hotel close to the convention center. And I see that most likely being put on Lot B, which is the big surface lot right across the street, adjacent to where the Hilton is. Probably would need another sky bridge that would connect that hotel to the Arena Convention Center. But this would be built by someone else. This would not be a city-owned hotel. But we don't need to own and operate a hotel. The Hilton, if you recall, nobody knew how the success of the Arena Convention Center, so it was a little different back then than it is now. But we do know now, currently, that the Arena Convention Center has a financial impact of the city of about $80 million a year. And so, I mean, there's a lot going on there. And so the increase of the meeting spaces is important. We will have to get a new hotel, there's no doubt. Now, the city of Omaha obviously owns the parking lots. B is across the street by the Hilton. D is the one that is north. That's an even bigger surface lot. And if we put another hotel on Lot B, then that could lead to developing Lot B even more. And if we develop Lot B and take up the parking, it's the city's obligation to replace that parking. So we would be building probably a very large parking garage on Lot D, which is the one that is north. And so, there's a lot of moving parts with this now, but it's not just the adding more meeting rooms, but it's replacing that parking, another hotel. So there's a lot going on that is in the plans right now.
That's a Grow Omaha exclusive right there.
That's true. We like that. And hopefully that would be a nicer convention style hotel to maybe upscale brand.
Yes, more upscale, full service, obviously, and there's plenty of those around. And so that's just something that's in the works right now, but something that we know will be necessary.
I think there's a demand for another parking garage even today. I mean, just going down there, people knowing exactly where to go, I think it's going to be a great next step for them.
But that Lot D, the one north, that's big. It's a big lot. And, all those season ticket holders, Creighton season ticket holders, you got to keep that in mind, too, because that's not a very far walk right across the street. It's on ground level. And we got to keep that in mind of who has season tickets and who's going to all those games because, parking on Lot D is a lot further away. It's a lot longer walk. And so that all has to be worked out.
Talking with Mayor Gene Stothert. This week, when you were interviewed after the announcement of the Duo project, the Twin Towers we discussed earlier, the topic of grocery stores came up.
Yes.
And we've all been kind of dreaming about a full-service grocery store in downtown Omaha for a long time. With the streetcar line coming up, there's more and more momentum toward that happening. You said something interesting this week, though. You said that from what you knew, it seemed like we were getting closer to that magic number to support that downtown. And what was really interesting to me, you mentioned that you think we're going to get one, but there are a lot of developers that maybe would like to have it,
Yes.
but there's only one grocery store to go around.
They're in competition for it right now, but there is that little magic formula that said you need so many residential people living downtown to support a grocery store, and we're way over that now. And so we can definitely support that, and it's needed right now. I will say, though, with the developers that I'm working with multiple developers, a lot of them are trying to get that grocery store downtown. And so it's in the works. I will tell you, there will be a grocery store downtown. Which development it will finally land in, I don't know, because they're still working it out. But, I hear all sorts of different grocery stores that I think would be a perfect fit downtown, especially with Creighton being so close and a lot of students. Central High is close. And so that will happen. I just can't tell you which grocery store it'll be or which development will get it, because I really don't know now. But we definitely will get one, and we definitely can support that now.
Let's talk a little bit about Crossroads. Just a couple of weeks ago, big announcement there. Woodbury Corporation out of Salt Lake City is coming into the market, playing a huge role. It's been a long journey to get to this point, but give us your assessment of where you think the Crossroads project is today and where we're heading.
Well, I want to assure people it is moving forward, and it's bigger and better than it was before. I know I was asked recently, is it in trouble? And it's not in trouble at all. It had a period of time after Frank Krejci, who was the sole owner of that property for a long time, died. And he was the sole owner. And people asked me, 10, 15 years ago, what is the city going to do with Crossroads? We didn't own it. It was up to the developer, which was Frank. And then he had a partnership, which is about 50-50 with Chip James and Lockwood Development, and they were both working on that development. Since then, and since Frank has died, there's been some changes, but now the company Woodbury, you just mentioned out of Salt Lake City, will be the owner. They will buy the property. In fact, they're buying it in pieces right now, but they already have purchased some of the property, and the plans now show a redesigned, higher value development with a commitment from the city of Omaha to own and operate some new garages. So that means they'll take down that old huge garage there that's in the corner that isn't in that good of a position. Now, in the original redevelopment agreement that we had with Lockwood and Frank, it said the city was going to purchase that garage for $35 million, and we were going to own and operate it. Now we have to amend that original redevelopment agreement because we're not going to buy that garage and own and manage it. They will demo it, but we will own and operate probably 3 other garages that would be smaller within the development that would be in better location for the development. But I think they've let out some of the renderings of what it's going to look like. I like it. It looks great. It's high quality. It's the way that they have reorganized things is going to be really great. It's less office than the original plan, but more retail and more residential is what we really need for that corner. So it's going to be really great. And, it was first announced in 2020, but Woodbury, like I said, is on the development team. In the beginning, we were saying it was going to be about a $553 million project, and now the Woodburys say it's going to be about an $860 million project. Wow. So you could tell it's growing and it has more value and density.
Well, we just have another minute left with the mayor, but we don't want to have you get out of here without a few specifics about the streetcar. And so we understand this is the first year where we'll actually see real construction. What are we going to see, and what will people notice when they're driving up and down Farnham and Harney Street this year?
Well, if you drive down Farnham right now, because I can see it from my office window, there's work being done on Farnham by our utility companies, and that is streetcar related. So you will be seeing a lot more of that along the streetcar line. We did put a bid out for the cars. We got a really good bid on the cars. It sounds like a lot. It's $47 million, but we originally predicted it would be about that much. We got one bid from CAF, and they are the ones that supplied the cars for Kansas City. So that's really good. So we will go and move forward with purchasing the streetcars. We need to purchase 6 of those. We need to build the vehicle maintenance facility, so we have a place for those streetcars to go. And right now we are in about 60% design, getting close to 90% design. And so it's moving along. I mean, it's moving along. The plan is we originally were going to bring it to 42nd Street. It's going to stop at about 39th now because there's a hill there. But I will tell you, HDR, who's our designer, is currently working with the Med Center, and they want that streetcar to expand so the Med Center can use it. And so they are working individually with HDR on that and will pay for that. The city's not going to pay for that expansion, but it will probably end up going to Saddle Creek. And so it's just an example of, as we move forward and the design moves forward, the interest in the streetcar is expanding. We originally were going to bring it down 10th Street and stop it at 10th and Mike Fahey, and we decided we would stop at 10th and Capitol because we're already applying for a federal grant to look at expanding that streetcar north. And it's a perfect spot at 10th and Capitol to go north to North Omaha, and eventually, and I've told them at the airport, keep it in mind that this streetcar is probably eventually going to get up to the airport, which would be great for Omaha, for people to land, jump on the streetcar. A lot of people that travel want to stay at the Marriott or the Hilton or downtown hotels. It would bring you right there.
Well, there are some weeks we wish you had 2 hours of Grow Omaha. This
There's
is one of them.
There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on and a lot of good things to talk about.
We'll just have to have you back, Mayor.
I'd love to.
Thanks. We always appreciate your support and taking time to join us on the show, and continued success to you and all of your team down at City Hall.
And thanks for having me. I enjoy coming in.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Our pleasure. Mayor Jean Stothert, when we come back, it's time for our Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round. We've got a lot of things on the list, so you don't want to miss any of it. Stay with us. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Tired of walking
Another great interview.
Okay.
So do you have a facility already in mind, or a location for the
vehicle
for the
maintenance?
vehicle maintenance?
Yeah, it's designed. It's going to be down there by the convention center, kind of adjacent to Lot A.
Okay.
We have the site for it. It's already designed. When the cars will come in, and it takes about 2 years for the cars to come in. And so we need to get those ordered now. But the bid on it, we thought was really good. There's about 6 companies we thought would bid. We only got one bid, but the price at $47 million was really
And where's this
good.
company from?
CAF is from the United States.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to stop and think a minute because there was one from Spain.
Right, I thought there was like an Austrian.
There was
or
one
something.
from but this is the one that bid on it, and Kansas City is more than happy with the cars and the design of the cars.
Well,
Do
the
we have
Kansas
a-
system's rocking?
Yeah, it is.
They're doubling it.
Is there a design for the cars already, color scheme and everything already picked out?
Yeah, and they even talked about the color scheme, and we thought, with the new parking that we have downtown, and we have the new kiosk, they're all different colors.
Yeah.
There's purple and there's red. We thought we already have the colors down there with what we're doing with that. So we're going to use that color scheme
Oh, cool.
on the cars.
That'd be cool.
So there'll be a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the
Yeah.
purple, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
kind of cool to have it stand out.
All right, back here in 30 seconds.
All right. Are you here bossing everybody around today?
Mayor, get out.
No, I'm good.
All right, well, thank you so much.
You,
Gene. Appreciate
you
it.
bet.
Yeah, we'll
You
do
bet.
it again.
Okay.
Jerry, nice to see you. Thanks. Oh, Chris, I don't know if you met Mayor Stothert before. Chris Corey.
I think I was here last time you were here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
I'm walking you down.
You're good. You're new.
Yes.
You're new.
Brand new good.
Brand new man.
Yes.
with the in-app offer. Limited time offer at participating U.S. Wendy's.
It'll be pretty
Redeem
tight.
in Wendy's app.
Yeah, real short.
Account
Yeah.
registration required. See offer in
4
Wendy's app
minutes.
for details.
Yeah, about 4 minutes, I think.
Listen to News Radio 1110 KFAB anywhere, anytime on your free iHeartRadio app. All your music, radio, and podcasts.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Jorge Sotolongo here. Trenton's got the weekend off, and it's time for our commercial real estate development spotlight of the week. And we are proud to announce a brand new sponsor for the lightning round. It's PC Construction, stands for Perkins Kreitzer Construction, run by our good friend Dave Kreitzer. It is a full-service Class A general contractor based right here in Omaha, started here in Omaha, serve the metro area. They work in Lincoln, even Grand Island, Norfolk, Kearney, North Platte, Sioux City. We've got listeners in all of those cities. Now, PC, Perkins Kreitzer Construction, might be a newer company, but these guys have experience, been around a long time. Many of the superintendents, the project managers, these guys have been around for 30 years of experience or more in the industry. So we suggest that you look into Perkins Kreitzer Construction, PC Construction for short, and learn how they might be able to help you and your project. All right, a lot of things on the list here, Jorge. We've got, we talked about Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen building a location at Village Point. Construction has started. It's going to be an outlot, so more restaurants for Village Point. It's going to be a busy place there. Speaking of restaurants, how excited are you for Nebraska's first Hawaiian Brothers Island Grill?
Very, very excited.
We need to get your microphone on. There we go.
Very excited.
Up still. Now you can say.
Very excited.
Now you can say you're very excited. Teriyaki Madness is coming to the other Cheddar's in town, to a building right there by it at L Street Marketplace. It is a chain out of Denver. I think they sell teriyaki. Got locations in 36 different
We're going to need
states.
a teriyaki warehouse.
Going to have a teriyaki warehouse. I am very excited about Nick's Quorum Bar and Supper Club. They are going to officially open their doors on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. It's inside the Hilton Omaha Hotel. I actually got to have a taste preview of it a few weeks ago.
Wow. And how was it?
It was really good. Yeah, really, really good.
I love the concept.
Yeah, it's going to be an old-fashioned supper club. It's the type place where you could get roasted prime rib, Yorkshire pudding, oysters Rockefeller, old-fashioned stuff. Oh, my goodness, the music is playing, which means everything else we have to wait till next week.
Oyster talk next week.
That's right. That's it for your Perkins Kreitzer construction update or lightning round update. Jorge, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always appreciate you being here. Trenton will be back next week. Hope everyone has a great week. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Perkins Kreitzer Construction, and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.